In a New Jersey laboratory in 1957, a Johnson & Johnson chemist tested the company's raw talc and found something that should never have been anywhere near a baby's nursery: asbestos fibers. That same talc became Johnson's baby powder, the bottle sitting on changing tables in millions of American homes, and for decades almost nobody outside the company knew what the testing had actually found. Talc and asbestos form in the same rock deposits, so separating them completely is difficult, and Johnson & Johnson leaned on suppliers like the Windsor Talc mine in Vermont to keep contamination low. But the testing methods the company used through the 1970s and 1980s were far less sensitive than the methods outside labs would later use on the exact same bottles, and that gap in sensitivity became the company's shield for nearly 50 years. Internal memos uncovered during litigation and published by Reuters in 2018 tell a very different story than the public one Johnson & Johnson kept repeating. Executives discussed cosmetic talc containing rather high trace amounts of asbestos as early as 1973, and a 1974 internal report flagged contamination the company never disclosed to regulators, doctors, or the mothers buying the bottle. We post 3 of these buried corporate stories every single day, so subscribe if you want the next one delivered straight to you. Tomorrow's story is just as unsettling as this one. The reveal eventually reached courtrooms across the country. In 2018, a St. Louis jury awarded 22 women diagnosed with ovarian cancer $4,690 million in damages after hearing evidence that the company had known about the contamination for decades and said nothing. Johnson & Johnson still denies its talc ever caused a single case of cancer, and instead of settling, it tried something almost nobody expected: pushing its talc liabilities into a subsidiary named LTL Management and filing that subsidiary for bankruptcy, a maneuver critics nicknamed the Texas two-step. Ring the bell so you catch what happens next, because federal courts have now rejected that bankruptcy filing twice, and tens of thousands of lawsuits are still waiting in line. In 2020, Johnson & Johnson quietly stopped selling talc baby powder in the United States and Canada, and by 2023, it pulled the product from shelves worldwide, replacing it with a cornstarch formula without ever admitting the original recipe was dangerous. The 1957 discovery took over 60 years to finally empty that shelf. Comment below if you or someone in your family ever used that bottle.